Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you asked the Americans, the older generation, people like in the 50s, 60s, and older, what killed the Soviet Union? What made the Soviet Union collapse? You probably, most likely, will get this answer. We outspent them. So the Iron Curtain was pulled down by Ronald Reagan's military beef up, and we got in a competition with the Soviets, and the Soviets collapsed, could not compete because of their rotten communist system, which I don't decry. All right, so this is the story. We outspend them because we're better, capitalism is better, democracy is better, and they, in a span of about 2 years, all those bad guys behind the Iron Curtain realized, all the leaders except Ceausescu realized that capitalism and democracy is better, man. It's better, just like that. So we're gonna just switch in 2 years from communism, socialism to capitalism, freedom, and democracy. Well, it was not like that. I told you many times before that this little argument promoted in the West is this much out of this much. I have a video here, a video clip, an interview conducted with the former Soviet Union leader, Mikhail Gorbachev. And this is conducted by a BBC guy who I saw him interview Lavrov, nowadays, and others. This interview was, years ago, about 8 years ago. And his name is Steve Rosenberg. Well, just by chance, he's Jewish. All right, so he's going to interview Mikhail Gorbachev, and Mikhail Gorbachev is going to say at least two things. One, what destroyed the Soviet Union, what killed it, and the other one, how much Putin knows about who destroyed the Soviet Union. And remember, Rosenberg is right in front of him asking him this question. It's like you have the criminal asking you, hey, who committed the crime, you know? And Gorbachev is not telling him. Anyway, let's go with this interview. Let me see if I got it right. I'm going to move my face out there, and in the middle of this, I will move my face to the left and right so I can show you Mr. Rosenberg's face. Very important. All right, let's get ready to rumble.
Я прекращаю свою деятельность на посту президента СССР.
Я, тем не менее, не хотел ни в одном, ни в другом случае, чтобы мы не схлопотали гражданскую войну.
That's the guy.
А все было на мази. Вы представляете, если бы раскол и борьба за власть в стране такой, как наша, перенасыщенной оружием, включая и ядерное, это значит, что Горбачев для того, чтобы удержаться у власти, пошел на вот это все. Людей бы сколько угробили, разрушений, все. Нет, это не мог допустить. И моя победа состоит в том, что я покинул власть. Специальная установка для всей прессы. Вам тоже должна быть установка, точно. Я знаю, с Запада. Добиться того, чтобы скомпрометировать Путина и устранить его.
Did you hear that? Instructions were given to the media. By whom? I thought the media was free in the West.
86% Путина поддерживают. Скоро будет 120%. Он все знает.
He knows everything.
Но каждый хочет еще по-своему.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Нет, мне нравится. Только ветер гудит провода.
The pianist, right? Coordinated and all that by them as well. So, it doesn't mean that right here, this is the title of this video. Let me show you at the bottom. Gorbachev, treachery killed USSR. Treachery. So it was not a natural collapse because humans realized, I think it's better over there. Grass is greener a little bit. And you know what? I'm in charge, but I agree to lose power because this is what philosopher kings do. This is so baboonish, my friends. Now, what happened? Indeed, treachery. It was an understanding behind certain forces inside the Soviet Union. Remember, Soviet Union was in charge of this, more or less, of the socialist countries in the East. Now, I know the Poles will say no, but I know who your bosses were after 1945, until about 1960-some. I know, and they were the Rosenbergs, as they were in Romania. Anna Paucher, Miss Hannah Robinson, and others until about 1956 after Stalin died. And then the Romanians took control, as the Poles took control to a certain extent. And I know in other countries, in Hungary as well. I mean, you had what? Bela Kun and others in the past, and not only. So, and nevertheless, it was an order by higher powers, which are banks, banking interest, and not only. Guys, you gotta go. Let's make it a great acquisition for our market. And traitors did exactly that. And guess who came and bought the natural resources, the production, the industries? How bad they were in those socialist countries, in this case, Russia. You can't compare Russia's natural resources with any of these baboons, Romania, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and so on, Bulgaria. No, you can't. Yugoslavia. Therefore, the big fish was Soviet Union. Who got it? Well, this is what they did. They call it general privatization. That is, the government issues to each individual, let's say you have a population of 20 million people, like in Romania, 20 million people. And they would divide the wealth of Romania at that point, and they would give this kind of notes to each person. And you can stick it in your ass. All right, they were nothing, and people buy it from you, or you don't even use it. And there were some people with money from abroad, banks, the guys who orchestrated partly. They worked through citizens of Soviet Union, all right, and with these guys they bought these shares, they call them, and then they bought industries. And then when they fought with other interests from outside, they bought natural and gas, oil. Why do you think these so-called Russian click Rosenberg oligarchs are 40%? How do you think they got it? I wanted to get them one by one, as it's that saying. Don't ask a billionaire or a multimillionaire how he made his first million. Never ask them. Never. Why? Probably something over there unless you were an inventor, an extraordinary man who came with a new product on the market, you must have done some hanky-panky somewhere. I'm not saying that's general rule, but I will make it the general rule, and there are some special cases, okay? So don't ask them. So these guys came with money from abroad, they bought the Russian industry, and the Russian people became their slaves. And they were sucking dry the oil and gas and coal from Russia and wood, logs, and so on, and they shipped them to the guys whomever needed at cheaper cost. And the banks and the guys got to be oligarchs. When bad Putin came, he knew all that because he was in the middle of that. So when he figured things out, why do you think these guys fled? And Putin was after them after the 1999 December 31st when he was anointed as the president of Russia. Why? Because he knew, and they knew he knew. They tried to bribe the guy, this Putin, and Putin said, okay, and little by little he got them one by one. Why do you think these guys are in prison or in London? Most of them. Because they know, he knows what happened in 1991, the breakup of Soviet Union and Romania, all these countries that were immediately became capitalist. This is partly what happened, my friends, with the cooperation of internal traitors, and Putin knows them. They were not only Rosenbergs, don't get me wrong, because that's the problem. There is a tiny minority, cannot do it by itself. It needs the cooperation of traitors, like in Ukraine. You need the cooperation of some traitors in order to take over Ukraine, or any other country. The little tiny minority usually is not up front. That's a big mistake that is up front in Ukraine, like Zelensky, Yermak, Reznikov, and Shmihal. It's a mistake. People, even the baboons will see that. And Putin knows them. What do you think these guys are sending? For instance, remember who was the guy who came to negotiate in Moscow for the release of the American teacher? Remember him? Fogel or whatever his name is. He's okay. They want that back. They had Soviet Union / Russia by the balls and they lost it. And the bad guy Putin kicked them out. They got them one by one and they fled like little rats. That's what they did. So Ukraine was one attempt to get it back. They got Ukraine, and they tried to get Russia, and then who knows what. Remember, the Chinese, they don't know anything about the Holocaust and anything about they don't care about that. So it's not going to work on them too much. They will try differently by using the bully boy, the US. That's what they do. They always use someone else to pick up the money from that person's pocket. And if you really want to have examples, facts, and evidence, go and read the Bible. And you're going to see that over and over and over and over. Right? Either it was the Babylonians, then it was the, how do you call those guys? The Egyptians, and then it was the, how did they took all the wealth of Egypt? Okay, and then it was the killing of Jesus Christ, your Savior. The same way. We're not going to do it. You're going to do it for us. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I know so much about these subjects, my friends. I can stay hours and tell you about it. But hey, we are on YouTube here and we can do much. Unless we're going to speak like, we run in zigzag so we don't get sniped. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just.